first to agree with the minority leader with respect to the issue about proportional representation. Truth is, we've tried this at the outset in 1997, and my party entered into an alliance with some minority parties in the lead up to the 1996 elections. And then I remember somebody went and sat somewhere and said, well, Ashanti, we have saved seats for the MPP, so let us fill as many women as possible. And the one who was part of that decision cited Swami, so let's go and put a lady at Swami. Meanwhile, he was also representing one of the Kumasi constituencies. So I asked, when I had the opportunity, why not begin with your constituency? You want to begin with Swami. Point is, if we don't legislate the issue about proportional representation, it will be difficult for us. And let's face it, in all the countries that practice the first past the post system, you don't have women representation in parliament. The paucity of women representation in parliaments begins with the jurisdictions that practice first past the post. Those of them that we cite are practicing proportional representation, or in some instances, women deliberately are appointed to parliament. We cite the case of Rwanda. And you and I know that a huge segment of the women population in parliament, they are directly appointed by the president. Would Ghanaians accept that? Uganda, the same thing applies. Would Ghanaians accept that? That's why I'm saying that I agree with the minority leader that we should legislate this. Otherwise, it will be difficult to, bet your trust on the goodwill of political parties. They will not deliver. Because even if it happens in the voting region, where the NDC is strongest, the MPP perhaps would say that we agree with you, we put up women, knowing very well that you are going to occupy all the places in the event. So I think that we should legislate this. I agree with you that Parliament should be asserting itself. How do we assert ourselves? Given the extreme polarization in Parliament, especially in our current circumstances, no amount of preaching will heal any wounds. We may agree here between the minority leader and I, in principle, that, oh, okay, this is good. Let them recline to their caucuses. Their caucuses will not agree. So I believe that, yes, I was talking about the number of men. If we don't legislate it, it will be difficult. Because if there is a John Mahama who makes a determination and he has a sizable majority in Parliament, they certainly would do the bidding of the president. No two ways about that. If there is an Akufo-Addo president who also, goes beyond the ceiling, and it comes to Parliament and we have a comfortable majority, nobody would challenge the president's, decision. That's being pragmatic. It's a fact of life. There shouldn't be any pretensions about that. So I guess if we inscribe this in the Constitution, the better for us. The president appoints ministers to, nominates ministers to certain positions. Parliament vests them for those positions. And some of them, in some instances, after vetting, after Parliament has approved of them, the president, in swearing them in, decides that he will not take you to the sector where I nominated you for. I nominated you for Ministry of Roads, but Parliament has approved of you for that position. The president then decides to make him a regional minister. who raised any issue? Because at that time, the party in power then had a comfortable majority in Parliament, not a comfortable lead. You had a comfortable majority. So there are matters that should concern us. I agree that there are some others that are long outstanding. For instance, whereas the Constitution provides that after the promulgation of the Constitution, that is in Article 22(2), what is the language, minority leader? Article 22(2), the spousal rights. What is it? What's the language? As soon as practicable. When Parliament is not, it's taking us 30 years. 30 years. I agree with you. We keep referring to this. Even today, there was something else that we're discussing. It has to do with what to do with reports that come from the Auditor General. The Constitution provides that we should set up a committee to deal with malfeasance. 30 years, we haven't done that. 30 years, we haven't done that. So we cannot, exonerate ourselves from blame. But I part ways with you when you deal with what purpose or which authority the Auditor General is supposed to serve. Check, and I agree, if you want to be technical, that our Constitution does not really place the Auditor General, under Parliament. Everywhere else, in all other constitutions, the Auditor General is a working tool for Parliament. It is, but unfortunately, however it happened, our Constitution, and that is why I said that even though it's supposed to work to Parliament, Parliament has no authority to direct its attention to suspected cases of malfeasance. The executive that is being investigated by Parliament is rather giving the authority to direct the Auditor General to investigate certain suspected malfeasance, but not Parliament. In my view, that is an aberration. That's the issue that I address. I agree with you, the one relating to the Article 1815, that is loans, that we should have Parliament to provide the necessary modifications relating to domestic loans. We haven't done that. Again, every now and then we are raising this in Parliament, just as we did the Auditor General. They had that one. We did so today in Parliament. And I was telling the minority leader that I clearly remember that it was under the chairship, the public accounts under the chairship of the current Minister for National Security, Kandapa. It was his time that this matter came up to the fore. And then we interrogated it and we said to ourselves that no, we needed to have a committee established on the lines of a commission of inquiry to have a justice of the court or the Superior Court to chair. There was this discussion with the then Chief Justice, Justice Georgina Wood. We didn't finish. That tenure lapsed, and that was the end of it. That is Parliament. And I was telling him that it is not that simplistic. We have to go back through and get that committee erected, because there are so many things that should concern us if we want to improve our governance. As for Article 71, it's an overflogged matter. I don't want to deal with it. The point really is this. I agree with you that the day after the swearing in of the president, this committee must be established. But which president has balls in between somewhere who would have the courage to establish that committee the day after the swearing in? People who say that this man is a self-seeker. So presidents will have to deal with labor issues once they are sworn in. So they have to wait necessarily until a certain time. It's not as if they give themselves fat gratuities, but they are entitled to reasonable emolument. That is in the lighter side. But I think that the issue, I think that we should have not this committee established ritualistically, or we should come to some agreement that is established by one president. How do we build in the necessary triggers so that the next succeeding president doesn't have to establish the committee again? So we move on. To me, that should be how it should be done. As to the time of establishment and so on and so forth, all of them have proved to be, timorous souls when it comes to the establishment of the committee under Article 71. Mr. Chairman, the minority that will carry on from there, and if you may indulge me, it appears to me that I've not yet succeeded in killing the uprising that he started. So they are calling and calling. So I have to leave you. But I think that we have at least done sufficiently well to justify our inclusion.